The teacher grabbed a kitchen knife simply because he received a physical warning from a student. The student thought he was going to use violence to curb violence, but he merely cut an apple and shared it. Then he asked them what they had obtained. Some answered puzzledly, half an apple. Some had only the core left after eating. Only one student's answer used a percentage result. Her answer greatly surprised the teacher, because in the mouth of other teachers, they are just a bunch of hopeless trash. 95% of the people are descendants of illegal immigrants, living since childhood in chaotic slums. They go to school only to muddle through to graduation, then enter society to work, beginning a life of confusion. So they did everything bad at school besides studying. Boys are addicted to gang fights all day. Girls are only concerned with hugging and cuddling and love during class. Parents don't care about them. Teachers ignore them. A good high school has become a smoky little society. It was even ruined into the worst school in America. If it continues, it might lose its teaching qualification next year. The arrival of this teacher disguised as a chef completely changed the fate of the school and students. Rant was originally an employee of a computer company. In order to fulfill his ambition to do education, he willingly quit his stable and high-paying job to come to this school to apply for a computer teacher, only to be told when he arrived at the school that there were no computers here, because the school was short of math teachers. He was temporarily arranged as a math teacher. Rant has no complaints about this. Only when he walked into the classroom did he discover what met him were not only things flying all over the sky, but also the students' various obscene language. Rant had a hard time calming all of them down. Unexpectedly, the bell suddenly sounded. All the students got up and walked towards the classroom door. This baffled Rant, because it had only been less than 10 minutes from the start of the class. Rant hurried out of the classroom to investigate. The result was that someone had tampered with the school bell. Even the principal is helpless with this group of failing students. However, for the newcomer, Rant, the trouble had just begun. A depressed look on his face as he got into his car, only to find that the car's dashboard had already been torn to shreds. Faced with such a group of mischievous students, he realized that sticking to the rules won't work. So the next day he dressed up like a chef, not only successfully attracting the attention of the students, but also tested their math abilities, only to find out that most students were not even at elementary school level. Just as he was about to start from the very basics, two late punks strutted into the class, acting high and mighty. Rant calmly asked if they had a listening order, just to see the students throwing the paper on the floor with a look of disdain. Rant didn't pick a fight with them. Instead, he bent down to pick it up and let them choose a seat first. Then he noticed that they didn't even bring books to class. Rant wanted to know what was going on. The student confirmed with a finger, saying, "I just need to bring a brain, that's enough." Rant wanted him to recite the multiplication table. Faced with the blatant challenge, Rant still calmly told him, "So, you're the legendary finger hero. Not only can your fingers be used to insult people, they can also bring you a better life." With that, Rant began to demonstrate the multiplication table with his fingers. Just as he was explaining, the school bell suddenly rang. Rant asked the finger hero to stay, wanting to communicate with him one-on-one. However, before he could start speaking, he was threatened by the finger hero, demanding passing grades. He claimed that he was only here to get by, to get a diploma. In order to let Rant know his strength, he even specifically called for Webhead to give Rant a physical warning. Compared with other classmates, these were obviously severely impacted. Teaching them the way a normal teacher would is certainly not effective. So, Rant began to learn how they roamed around the school, discovering that one of the boys could chat with 3 girls at the same time. He took the initiative to approach and modestly ask for tips on picking up girls, seeing the school gang starting to fight with the outsiders. Webhead, from class, wanted to rush up to help. Without a second word, he rushed up and stopped him, holding him firmly against the door frame until he was exhausted. These hoodlums were becoming more and more arrogant, even taking the gang members directly into the classroom. Rant was not angry. Instead, he communicated with them in slang.
My domain. Don't give me no gas.
He always thought of the appropriate methods to deal with them. Humorous and witty communication enlivened the classroom atmosphere. Rant asked a simple math question. What is -2 + 2 equal to? In order to help the students understand better, he compared the negative numbers to holes dug on the beach, and the dugout sand is the positive numbers. After hearing, all the students began to think. Only Webhead was still wondering. Rant went up to him and asked him to answer. Webhead just sat there, maintaining his elegance. But all the students in the class were watching him. Rant had to start talking in street slang again. Only then did Webhead give the correct answer.
0.
Right after, Rant told them, whether it's ancient Greece or Rome, none of them understood and applied the concept of zero. It was first proposed by the Mayans, who are also your ancestors, which means you were born with mathematical blood. This instantly gave them, who had long suffered from poverty and discrimination, a sense of pride. Rant seized the opportunity and started explaining the concept of a negative times a negative equals a positive. Everyone read along with Rant. Even Webhead and others at the back were no exception. Rant always managed to hold their attention this way, then bring out the point, have them keep it in mind, making these kids gradually interested in learning. Although everything was moving in the right direction, the school suddenly received a notice. The students' grades must improve. Otherwise, they may lose their school qualification next year. All of the teachers claimed that they had done their best. The only one who said they could do more was Rant, on the condition that the students' thirst for knowledge needs to be stimulated. In order to achieve this, He started doing a small quiz before each class, and the questions in each quiz were very simple. What he wanted was for the students to feel their progress. In order to stimulate their enthusiasm for active learning, even Webhead started to have a good feeling towards learning. However, his good friend always pulled him to skip the class. Between learning and friends, he chose the latter. Facing Webhead's departure, Rant didn't scold him. He even said he could have a nice day. Just then a new student joined the class. Rant directly assigned him to Webhead's position. Webhead saw all of this. After school, he immediately found Rant. I really want to learn with you, but always bringing books would make me look bad in front of my brothers. Rant didn't say much after hearing this. Instead, he directly gave him 3 books. One for the classroom, one for home, and the other one to be kept in the school locker as a spare. As a thank you, Webhead suggested that he could provide some protection for Rant. Upon hearing about the crisis the school was facing, in order to get grades without having to do questions like before, 3 students in the class decided to boycott the exam. Rant easily spotted their intentions. Under Webhead's provocation, Rant put a chair on the podium and let the girl sit. The girl immediately felt extremely embarrassed. The other 2 friends, seeing this, immediately started answering questions. From this day on, all the students began serious study. Many of them even do problems when they get home, but their parents are their biggest barriers.
Yeah, could you please turn off that light?
This is a helpless yet unavoidable problem. Getting the books, Webhead didn't let the teacher down either. During the day, he would continue to mess around with gang members. At night, he would be reading at home, with no thought of sleep or food. Just when this hoodlum was about to reform, the best studying girl in the class applied to drop out of school. It turned out that her father wanted her to go home and work as a waitress in the shop. Upon hearing this, Rant immediately found the girl's father. Your daughter has a great talent for learning. You should support her to pursue her dreams. In the future, she can help you better expand and strengthen your restaurant instead of spending a life in the shop, gradually getting married and becoming a fat housewife. Although the girl's father always thought that studying was useless and angrily drove Rant out, she did hear Rant's words to some extent. After several months of teaching, in Rant's class, no one is not listening carefully. His unique teaching method has tamed these stubborn children. He blends in with the students, speaks slang, plays rock and roll. Even the dry and tasteless math problems have become incredible, but also makes one want to explore the questions. For example, Jack's girlfriend is 3 times more than Bruce's. Hans' girlfriend is 1 less than Jack's. Hans has 5 girlfriends, so how many girlfriends do they have in total? This interesting teaching, even the principal and the math department head came to listen. Want to know how Rant teaches these folks? The students are more serious than the others, even if their problem-solving approach is all wrong. Just as everyone was puzzled, a familiar voice appeared. She easily gave the correct answer to this problem. It turns out the girl who was called home by her father came back. In this way, Rant successfully saved another child. But it's not easy for Rant, who wants to completely change the fate of these children, because their other subjects are too bad. Wanting to get into college is not easy. He starts thinking about the next teaching plan. This day when going out for a tour, someone mentioned casually their daughter started studying calculus in high school. Rant was instantly inspired after hearing this. He decided to teach the kids calculus, because calculus is a required course in college. Only 2% of the top students can pass the preparatory course exam, and once they pass, they can be fully admitted to college. When Rant told the principal about this idea, it was met with pig-like laughter. To let these people who can't even understand trigonometry pass the calculus exam, this is simply a lunatic's dream. Even the director of guidance told him. Now, even if our teachers take the exam, not many of them can pass, let alone a group of high school students who are still at primary school level, right? Everyone thought it was unrealistic. All advised Rant it would be best to give up. But persistent Rant decided to give it a try. Without the support of the school, in the hot summer, he could only tutor students in the changing room. There was no ventilation here, and no air conditioning. Although it took up their vacation, despite everyone sweating profusely, none of them gave up easily, because they knew this was an opportunity to change their fate. Rant used the entire summer vacation to teach them trigonometric functions and mathematical analysis thoroughly. When the summer vacation was over, Rant's calculus course officially began. He issued another contract, which needed to be taken home by the students for the parents to sign. The contents were simple. Class starts an hour earlier every day. 2 classes every day. The end of the school day is postponed. There is even no rest on the weekends. The final year that should have been the most relaxing is now full of challenges. Rant sincerely hopes that these children can get into college. However, some parents don't think so. This mother thinks this is definitely an excuse for her daughter, who wants to hang out more outside. She even warned the girl. Men don't like women who are too smart. The girl told her, if I learn this, I don't have to depend on dumb men anymore. That's how the mother agreed to sign. The next day, except for one strong boy, everyone else got their parents' signatures. The reason was that his uncle wanted him to work as a forklift driver. This job pays a good salary. Rant didn't say much after hearing this. Instead, he immediately drove the boy to the street. When they came to an intersection, Rant suddenly stepped on the accelerator to speed up and asked the boy whether to turn left or right. The boy was puzzled and didn't understand what he meant.
Right or left? Go right, go right!
Eventually, the car entered a dead end.
All you see is the turn. You don't see the road ahead.
Rant hoped that he could plan for his future, instead of just staring at immediate benefits. The boy then realized what was going on. Rant helped the students again in this special way. The next morning, he came to school early, and it was from this day on, everyone started moving towards a common goal. They had neither weekends nor holidays. But as the difficulty of learning gradually increased, the confidence that once easily solved a problem was slowly eroded. The high learning enthusiasm gradually became depressed. Until Christmas this day, the students who had been under high pressure for a long time collapsed one after another. First was the boy with the worst foundation in the class.
Everybody knows I'm the dumbest. I can't handle calculus.
He felt that he was so bad, it would only affect the teaching progress of the class. But Rand had no intention of giving up any of them. There was no one among them who would dislike anyone, because they all came to this step from zero. Rand didn't comfort them with kind words. He knew the students just needed an outlet to vent their emotions. He took the chalk and quietly wrote the answer to that problem. During class, the girls kept looking at their free classmates outside. The next second, he surprisingly closed the book and stood up to leave. As soon as Rand saw this, he quickly followed. It turned out that her desperate studying during this time cost her boyfriend. She, always been fond of beauty, even didn't have time to take care of her messy hair. She didn't know whether all this was worth it or not.
My life.
So what's the problem?
Rand opened his arms for this injured little bird. Webhead came a little late because he took his grandmother to the hospital. Rand said nothing and sent him away. Angrily overturned the table and chair, cursed Rand as a bastard, then stormed out. At night, he brought his grandmother to visit, letting grandmother explain to Rand and hope he could return to the classroom. Rand found this move amusing and exasperating, but he also realized his mistake. Rand agreed to Webhead's request. In addition to teaching them every day, Rand also found a job teaching at an adult night school to fill the daily expenses in the class. The high-intensity work quickly took a toll on his body. This night he suddenly felt sick. He staggered out of the classroom. His heart was in so much pain, but he didn't make a sound. He struggled to go downstairs, but eventually fell down. The students lost their will to study without Rand. As the calculus exam was 2 weeks away, the principal arranged for them a new substitute teacher, but the new substitute was a music teacher. To him, calculus was like a mystery. In this way, the opportunity to change their fate seemed hopeless. Fortunately, Rand was fine. The doctor said it was heart disease caused by overwork. He needed at least a month of observation in the hospital. At this critical moment, Rand could not let go of the students in the school. He wrote the learning plan for the following day on paper every day, then asked the kind nurse to help send it over. Although there was only one music teacher who didn't understand calculus in the class, the students' progress did not decline at all. They were all studying according to Mr. Rand's plan. The day before the exam, Rand chose to be discharged early and return to the class. The appearance of the teacher instantly invigorated the dejected students. He called the students to the corridor, loudly and generously told them, "You are the best. Nothing can beat you. Only you can defeat yourself, but you have already surpassed your past selves, so you will definitely win this exam." In the examination room, competing with students from other schools on the same stage, despite there being only a 2% pass rate, this was their only way out. After the exam, they could finally have a relaxing break. The waves were playfully hitting everyone, but everyone seemed to have the ability to ride the wind and waves. In the long waiting period, some students were still continuing their family's repair work. When he received the notification of passing the exam, the joy shared with the sunshine and the sky, he carefully held the white paper, but the inner joy was still irresistible. Before long, the principal announced a piece of good news. All 18 students who took the exam passed. Their achievements crushed all high schools in Southern California. This was a miracle. Those who used to lag behind became the best. And behind this achievement, not only is the hard work of the children, not without Rand's silent dedication. Just as they thought a better life was about to begin, reality quickly gave them a blow. The Education Bureau suspected they were cheating collectively, not only because no one believes that the worst high school could actually let a whole class of students pass the exam, also because their wrong answers are surprisingly consistent. This caused the validity of their grades to be questioned. This made the children instantly become a bunch of liars. The principal was like a weathercock. He didn't defend his children, but fully cooperated with the agency's investigation. When they saw the children's past exam grades, it further confirmed their suspicion of cheating. They didn't have any other evidence. Just let the students confess the process of cheating. The students found it beneath them to respond and had nothing to say. What made them feel disillusioned was the principal actually started to persuade them to tell the truth. It turns out that in the eyes of the principal, they have never really been recognized. Webhead, who couldn't stand it, stood up. He said the whole cheating thing was masterminded by me. I first got the test paper from the mailman, then distributed it to all the students. The investigator was curious about where the mailman was now.
I strangled him. His body's decomposing in my locker.
Webhead's explanation made the students laugh. Although his mockery made the investigator's face green with anger, it still couldn't change the fact that their grades were annulled. No one wanted to believe the children's grades. Rand hoped that the mathematics director could affirm them, but she tactfully expressed her thoughts. In her view, 99.9% of criminals caught by the police are guilty. Rand had nothing to say and prepared to go home first. However, when he came to the parking lot, he found his car missing, but he didn't even feel like looking for the car. In this way, he walked home with mixed feelings, his head down. The always firm him also had doubts at this moment. Should he not have taught calculus to the students from the start? In that case, the students wouldn't have the disgrace they have today. Seeing Rant's low mood, his wife advised him to resign. This may be the last lesson you can teach the students. But just then, there was a sudden honking outside the window. Rant looked out of the window. It turns out that Webhead and some others had changed the color of his car, and they hoped Rant would show his true colors to the people at the Education Bureau. With the faith of his students, he came to the Education Service office, found the two guys in charge of the investigation. He wanted to see what the test papers were like. Same wrong answers. It could be an education problem. But these two guys didn't seem willing to provide. One of them explained, "Your students got far fewer mistakes than other schools, and your students still had a lot of spare time after answering the questions." Rant believed, if that was the case, then they should be rewarded, not punished. But the two men in charge of the investigation didn't want to waste words. "If you believe your children have no problems, then you can let them retake the test, to prove himself, and to erase everyone's doubts about the children." Rant agreed. However, the exam time was directly set for the day after tomorrow. This means they only have one day to review, but they haven't studied for a whole holiday. Not only that, this time the test will definitely be harder than last time. Rant cheered for the children. Look carefully at the questions, one step at a time. Don't bring a pencil, don't bring an eraser, don't wear clothes with lots of pockets, don't look around, don't give those guys any chance to doubt.
You are the true dreamers. And dreams accomplish wonderful things. You're the best.
This day, they reviewed from morning to night. Even at midnight, they were invited by Rant to continue at home. Rant cooked for them personally, stayed up all night with them. An intangible force kept them until the exam, not wearing clothes with pockets, using the pencil provided by the exam center specifically. Not only was the gap between tables widened this time, two investigators also came to proctor the exam. Everyone finished the exam calmly. Rant anxiously waited for the test results. Soon, the Education Bureau called the principal. This time they used a new scoring system, 3 points for passing, 5 points for full marks. After their 2 rounds of grading, all 18 students not only passed again, even had 5 full marks, and Webhead was among these 5. This time, they not only proved their strength, but also broke all doubts. Upon hearing that all students passed, Rant slowly got up and walked out of the classroom, leaving his graceful figure, silently achieving success. Stand and Deliver, directed by Ramon Menendez, starring Edward James Olmos. Released in 1988, it's an American biographical drama film. The short film was adapted from real events. From 1982 onwards, Rant continually led new students to pass the calculus exam. In the more than 20 years he taught after, he led more than 400 people to achieve their life dreams, completely reversing their life trajectory. The story's protagonist passed away in 2010, but the thoughts conveyed by the film will last forever. The film expresses a lot in more than an hour. Also, there are a lot of things not expressed, can only be experienced after the baptism of life. As a minority, life is habitually discriminated against, rejected by almost everyone, including their own father. It's not easy to hold on to hope and strive in such circumstances. It is also not easy to have faith in one person. The appearance of Rant really gave the children a ray of light. Their trust is also fragile. After all, they never met such a teacher. They tried to trust, tried to push him away. They found that he persisted time and again. So they unconsciously really trusted. Trust requires a process, and the person who takes on this trust needs to pay a lot. Not just enthusiasm, not just love of work. Also, persist when many people do not understand, do not support. What Rant did was great. It made the students understand that learning is not only for better options, can even change their own destiny. He once said to the students, "If you don't see hope, I can give it to you, because I am your teacher." And he proved by his actions that there is no distinction between good and bad students. There are no students who can't learn, only teachers who can't teach. Awakening another soul with one soul. This is the real essence of education. Alright, that's it for today's story.